Welcome to Introduction to Magic the Gathering and Big Shilly's home videos. Have you ever seen someone sitting at a table in a Taco Bell, what looks to be making a life and death decision over a game of some cards that probably look like this? Well, chances are you were witnessing a great epic battle on the plains of Magic the Gathering. Yes, people, what started in 1993 has now spread to over 35 million players. But this is no crisis. This is a good thing, because the game of Magic is fun. It's a game. The goal where you have companionship and walk away with it with memories of good times and feel-good plays where everybody gets to have fun. The goal of the game, you start with 20 life, and you try to knock your opponent's life down to 0. There's other ways to win, but that is the most common direct way to win, reducing your opponent's life to 0. But how do you do this? How do you get started? How do you play Magic the Gathering? Well, you got to get a deck. And that's not a hard thing to do. You can go to any local game store, and most of them will have a basic starter deck of 30 cards that you can bust open. And a lot of times they'll give you a couple of them so you and a friend could play and learn the basic mechanics of the game. Or you could go to Walmart or Walgreens or the local game stores, and every new set that comes out, most of them come with these special Planeswalker decks that include cards like these that work together, that would kind of give you a basic feel of Magic the Gathering. All right, but so once you get these cards, once you go out there and you buy your cards, you build your decks, how do you play with them? How do you get your spells onto the battlefield? Well, first off, what kind of spells are there? We'll move this over here, and we'll show you the spells. We have instants, planeswalkers, artifacts, sorceries, and creatures. Sorry, bumped the camera. And enchantments. Each of these spells is played different ways. How do you cast these spells? Well, on each of them, you notice a mana cost in the right upper hand corner. And this mana cost is how much mana it costs to put them on the battlefield, to cast them from your hand. And whether it's 2 colorless and a green, or 1 colorless and a red and a white, you have to have the mana to play that. So how do you get this mana? You need lands, people. So we're going to move these over, and we're going to show you our lands. You have 5 basic colors in Magic the Gathering, and there's also colorless mana as well. But you have mountains, forests, plains, swamps, islands, and then you can tap any of these for the mana you need. So an island would tap you for a blue mana, which you would need for this instant spell. It costs 1 blue and 1 black, so you would tap 1 blue and 1 black mana to cast this spell. Okay? If you wanted to cast District Guide, you'd have to cast 2 of any color and 1 green. So 2 and a green to play District Guide. Okay? And that is the basic mana that you have in the game. You tap the lands to produce the mana to cast the spells. Okay, so what's next? Well, like I said, we start with 20 life, and you draw 7 cards at the beginning of the game. So let's just say we'll just take these, we'll make this our deck, okay? We have those 5 lands, and we draw a couple of these cards, okay? All right, so we'll say you start with your 20 life. So let me get a life counter. Any 20-sided dice will do. This is the one I'm using. This is actually from the Kaldheim set for Magic the Gathering that just came out not too long ago, before Strixhaven. But that is the 20, is that axe symbol actually on this dice. So we're going to start off with our 20 life right there for you to see. And we're going to go first. We're going to say that we rolled with our opponent, and you can decide however you want who wants to go first. You guys can just take turns going first, or you can roll every time, whatever you want to do. We're going to say we went first. And we started with, oh, we got one extra card, so we'll put this one back. We started with our 7 cards. Okay, so we can't cast anything out of our hand right off the bat. And we can't draw a card because we went first. Whoever goes first in the game of Magic does not draw a card. But on everybody's turn, you have 5 phases, okay? 5 of them. You have your beginning phase, where you would draw and untap. Since this is the first turn, we don't do that. We just would skip that phase basically and go straight to our first main phase. So we play our first land. We can't do anything else. So we don't have a combat phase because we control no creatures. But a combat phase is when you would usually attack your opponent with the creatures that you have summoned with your mana if they did not come out this turn. Okay, so then we're going to go ahead and say our opponent went, they played a land, they played no creatures though, okay? So then it's our turn, we would draw a card on our second turn, all right? And then we would play another mana, okay? Still, there's nothing in our hands we can really do right now. We could play this, but I would hold on to that for later in the game. We'll talk more about instants and sorceries in another game, but for now, we are going to pass turn. So then our opponent takes their turn. Oh no, it looks like our opponent summoned a creature. Well, right now, we don't have the mana to do anything about that creature, but it is a 1/1 flying. Okay, so it's our first creature on the battlefield. Let's look at it. The 1/1 is the creature's power is the first number, and toughness is the second. And this creature has flying, which creatures that have flying can only be blocked by other creatures that either have flying or have reach. We'll get into that on another episode, though. For now, we're just going to lay that one down. So we have a 1/1 flying. Our opponent has it on the battlefield. They can't attack with it because it does not have haste. It has summoning sickness. When a creature comes out, that turn it comes into play, you cannot attack with it unless it has haste. All right, so then they would just pass their turn if they don't have any other spells. They use their 2 mana to bring that out, so they're tapped out. They can't do anything else. It's our turn. So we would draw. Ooh, we drew a Planeswalker. All right, we're going to put him in our hand. But for now, we have all these cards. We're going to play our forest, so we can tap 3 and bring out District Guide. When it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a basic land or gate card, reveal it, put it into your hand, and then shuffle your library. Okay, so we'll do that. All right, we got our land or gate. This is a dual land. It's a type of land that's out there. It can enters tap, but it will tap for a green or a red or a blue mana. Some lands do that. Okay, so we put that into our hand because it says enters the battlefield, you reveal it and put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. Okay, so we already did that. We'll talk more about enter the battlefield effects as well in another video. So now we have a creature, but we can't attack with it, so it'd be our opponent's turn. Okay, so our opponent would go. They played a land, but they did not play another creature. And then they're going to go ahead and attack us with their 1/1 Grateful Apparition. And because we don't have flying, this creature here that I control has no flying or reach. We would have to take the 1 damage and go down to 19. Okay? So then after that, say they couldn't do anything else. They had no creatures, no spells to play. They wouldn't want to use it really right now. Anyway, they pass turn to us. So now we got to make a decision what we want to do. We have 3 mana. We go to our untap phase. Okay? And then we draw. Okay, we drew a sorcery. Nice. And we need to play a spell. We want to get rid of their flying because we can't do anything about it. We can use this one to get rid of their flying because it's an instant and it says destroy target creature with converted mana cost 3 or less. We could play this anytime, but we want to play it now. So in order to do so, we have to find our island and we'll have to bring our island out, our land. Okay, now we have 4 mana, and we're going to play Tyrant's Scorn before we even attack or anything. We'll just go ahead and pay 2, and we'll do Tyrant's Scorn. Destroy target creature with converted mana costs 3 or less, and we're going to destroy, targeting our opponent's Grateful Apparition. It has 2 mana cost in total. It costs 1 and a white, so it would be destroyed. Okay, then we could attack directly on our combat phase after that and hit our opponent for 2 damage. And that's basically that part of the turn after combat. Since they had no blockers, then it would go to the second main phase. We could play any other spells in our turn that we had the mana for. We could play the Sorcerer if we had the mana for it. Anything in our hand on our second main phase. But after that second main phase, it goes to the end phase, and then it's the end of turn. And that's the basic gameplay for turn. Your goal, again, is to reduce your opponent's life down to 20. But everybody, the main goal of Magic the Gathering is to have fun. There's so many rules and mechanics. So we'll do more of these videos, and I hope you guys will subscribe and like for more. Thank you very much.